After an incredible night of connection, a billionaire discovers a heartwarming truth that changes everything. Ethan Wells, a self-made titan of industry, stood amid the sprawling opulence of the charity gala, the flicker of chandeliers above echoing the emptiness that whispered in his heart. He built a fortune from the ground up, yet in that moment, surrounded by the glittering elite of New York City, he felt more isolated than ever. Wealth and prestige were paltry comforts against the gnawing void within him. As he surveyed the room, laughter and clinking glasses surrounded him but felt distant, almost ghostly. His gaze landed on an impassioned woman with fiery eyes, Sarah, standing at the center of a small group, sharing stories of her community center back home, a sacred place teetering on the brink of financial ruin. Her voice rang with the kind of conviction that had long faded from Ethan's life. Memories of his childhood in Ohio flashed before him, his parents' sacrifices, the long nights they toiled to provide a better life. They taught him about hard work, but they never warned him about losing the connection to what truly mattered. When he approached her, a spark ignited. She was vibrant, fresh, and full of hope in the face of daunting struggles. "We're fighting to keep it open for the kids," she said, her voice revealing the weight of her mission. Every word she spoke felt like a thread pulling at the fabric of Ethan's heart. He listened, rapt. She spoke of budget cuts, the crushing realities faced by families in her neighborhood. The desperation in her voice reverberated deep within him, awakening something he thought he had buried under corporate success. He found himself making a promise, an unexpected but fervent pledge to help her keep the community center alive. The look in her eyes, pure joy mixed with disbelief, made his heart race. That moment, her gratitude felt like sunlight breaking the chill he had felt for far too long. Yet, as he retreated back to the world of his privileged friends, uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud. Their laughter turned to murmurs of disapproval, questioning his integrity, urging him to stay clear of endeavors with no perceived financial gain. Suddenly, the walls of the very elite society he belonged to felt suffocating. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the community center facing a harrowing budget cut, Ethan's resolve solidified. He was determined to rally support, using every ounce of influence he had built over the years. But then came the gut-wrenching revelation: Sarah's story was intertwined with his family's history, a connection that shook everything he thought he knew. It forced him to confront the generational divide that had kept them apart and fostered a greater understanding of the community he now felt drawn to. The clock was ticking. The gala a mere memory, and the impending crisis of losing the community center loomed large. Ethan stood at a crossroads, the weight of expectation against hope pulling at him. He realized, amid the clamor of socialite chatter, that the true battle wasn't merely about saving a building but about redefining who he truly was. Would he choose to walk back into the familiar arms of privilege, or would he give his heart to a cause that felt right? The answer was just out of reach, but it beckoned him forward, echoing through his restless soul. Ethan stood alone in the echoing grandeur of the gala, the weight of the world pressing heavily on his shoulders. He could feel the laughter around him, but it was a sound that had lost its luster. It was a bittersweet reminder of his new mission, and his heart raced with each passing moment. He had promised Sarah he would help, and despite the potential backlash, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was the path he needed to follow. In the days that followed, Ethan dove into planning. He contacted old friends, influential people in his network, and started arranging a fundraiser for the community center. The drive was exhilarating, and with each conversation, he felt a little more alive. With his childhood memories of generosity and community swirling about him, he became a man on a mission. He envisioned Sarah's smiling face, the joy of the children who would benefit from the center being saved. It felt right. But then, reminders of his privileged world came crashing back. At board meetings, he faced his colleagues' skepticism. "Ethan, you're smarter than this," one of them warned, stuffing a cigar into his mouth. "You don't really believe you can save every charity, do you?" His voice dripped with disdain. Each dismissive remark pricked at Ethan's resolve, but he held his ground. He had once stood where they did and knew the emptiness of that life. His phone buzzed one morning, and it was Sarah asking to meet. He hadn't seen her since the gala, and a warm flutter raced through him. They met in a small coffee shop, far removed from the towers of wealth and power he previously inhabited. Sarah entered, her eyes bright and hopeful, yet a shadow of worry hung over her. "Can we really make this work?" "I know it'll be hard," she said, her voice softer, almost vulnerable. Ethan took a breath, reflecting on the gravity of their endeavor. "We can do this. I'll do everything I can," he promised, trying to infuse her with that same hope growing inside him. But he could see the doubt lurking behind her fierce spirit. Over cups filled with steaming coffee, they brainstormed ideas. Ethan racked his brain, drawing on every event he'd ever hosted to create something bold and exciting. "A gala, just like the one that brought us together, but with a twist. A local theme, a showcase of the community's talent," he said with enthusiasm, his eyes brightening at the vision unfolding. "But will people come? Will they care?" Sarah challenged, pulling him back to reality. He could see the concern etched on her face, a mirror of the doubt that loomed in his heart. "It's not about the money, Sarah. It's about people seeing the value in these kids, giving them a chance," he insisted, anger mingling with conviction. She studied him, her fiery spirit flickering just slightly. Ethan felt a battle reignite within him. Could he really change minds? Could he connect these two worlds, his privilege and the community in need? The silence stretched between them, thick with uncertainty. As they left the cafe, the crisp air met them like a cold splash of water, shaking Ethan from his thoughts. He suddenly felt the weight of expectation his own and the world's crushed down harder than before. But nestled within, a flicker of determination flared up. Was it just the urgency of their mission, or was there something deeper drawing him into this fight? Ethan knew he was standing at another pivotal moment. Answers were coming, and he could feel it in his bones. All it would take was one brave step forward. But as he glanced over at Sarah, the doubt still clouded her brow. "Ethan," she paused, searching for the right words. "What if we fail?" In that moment, he realized the stakes were higher than he had imagined. This wasn't just about a community center anymore, it was about their futures and the hopes of a world that had been overlooked for too long. Would he have the courage to face not just the unknown but also the fear of failure? Time was not on their side, and the answer hung in the air like a challenge waiting to be claimed. What lay ahead was uncertain, and it beckoned them forward. Ethan felt a rush of determination mixing with trepidation as they stepped out into the lively street. The daily buzz of the city surrounded them, but it felt like a distant noise, muffled by the intensity of their conversation. Sarah's worried frown ignited a fire within him, amplifying his resolve. He turned to her, his expression fierce. "Listen, Sarah," he began, conviction lacing every word. "This is bigger than us. We have a chance to make a real difference." He felt a spark of hope bubble in his chest, hoping to light the way through her uncertainty. "But how?" she asked, her voice trembling. "How do we get people to care? To see the community that needs support? Is it possible?" The honesty in her question pierced him, reminding him of his own doubts. Ethan searched the bustling surroundings for inspiration, absorbing the sights and sounds. A street performer played a lively melody, and a group of children danced nearby. The community was alive with spirit, and he couldn't let that slip away. "Let us do something that feels like a celebration of who we are," he urged. "Let us tell their stories. If we can show people the heart behind the center, maybe they'll feel it too." She looked at him, her eyes reflecting a flicker of hope now mingled with the apprehension etched on her face. "What do you mean?" What if we invite the community to showcase their talent? A talent show, art displays, whatever they want to share. We'll bring in food vendors, music, everything. His voice grew animated as he laid out the vision. We'll show what this place really means. We'll turn it into a festival, not just a fundraiser. Sarah paused, a breath of hope escaping her lips. And you think that will work? I know it can, he replied, feeling his own spirit lift. We can connect people, our friends, the community, and everyone who needs to see what's happening here. It'll be a party with purpose. As they spoke, Ethan could see the years of struggle, the faces of children eager for opportunities flash through his mind. That image fueled his passion. He believed in this, and he wanted Sarah to feel that too. All right. She nodded, a small smile breaking through the worry. Let us do it. But we'll need to get as many people involved as we can. Absolutely, he replied, heart racing with excitement. Tonight, we start reaching out. The pair began drafting plans, creating a list of potential performers, participants, vendors, and sponsors, a map of who might fit seamlessly into this collective vision. As ideas flowed, tension turned into laughter. Just then, an unexpected figure stepped into their space: Marcus, a distinguished community leader and longtime friend of Sarah. His presence commanded attention, instantly shifting the dynamic. Sorry to interrupt, he said, his eyes darting between them. I heard your plans. Count me in. Confusion crossed their faces. You want to help? Ethan stuttered, taken aback by the swiftness of Marcus's agreement. Of course, Marcus replied firmly. I know the struggles this community faces. Your fundraiser needs a bigger foundation. I have connections and a few ideas that might just take off. Ethan exchanged glances with Sarah, uncertainty hanging in the air once again. Could they really be onto something? Was Marcus offering them a lifeline or a detour? Great. Let us discuss these ideas, Sarah prompted, her voice thick with anticipation, still unsure of what lay ahead. As they gathered around a table in the vibrant cafe, the air buzzed with newfound energy, yet beneath that excitement lingered the burden of what could go wrong. They huddled together, hope intermingling with the weight of their mission. In that moment, Ethan realized just how much they had to lose. Was it enough to unite this group for a common cause? Could they convince even one soul to see the potential in that center? As the conversation deepened, one question loomed larger: if they were to succeed and ignite a movement, what would it take and what hidden challenges awaited them in the shadows? The cafe hummed softly around them, but within their small circle, it felt as if the world had paused at the precipice of possibility. Ethan sat forward, energy buzzing through him like live wire. Marcus's confident words hung in the air, an invitation to something greater than they had ever envisioned. All right, Marcus leaned in, his voice lowering as if to create a hidden camaraderie in their vision. We need a solid plan, and we need to reach the right people. What's your timeline? Timeline? Sarah echoed, her brow knitting together. I mean, we haven't even nailed down a date or venue yet. Let us set a date for a month from now, Ethan suggested, heart pounding as he spoke. Adrenaline fueled his determination. That gives us enough time to gather support but is close enough to keep the momentum going. Perfect, Marcus replied, tapping his fingers against the wooden tabletop. We can start tonight. I have contacts at local businesses who might help with donations and vendors' food, drinks, maybe even some entertainment. Everybody loves a good festival. Ethan could see Sarah's hesitation melting away, her eyes lighting up as she listened. And we need to reach out to performers, she added, her voice rising with hope. We can post on social media, do a flyer campaign, get everyone involved. Exactly. Marcus beamed, his enthusiasm infectious. We create a sense of ownership in the community. They won't just be attendees, they'll be the stars of the show. As they hammered out details, presence shifted. Ethan felt a swell of hope rising, filling the air like the rich aroma of coffee enveloping them. But even in that warmth, doubt flickered at the back of his mind. Could they really pull this off? What if no one showed up? Okay, Sarah hesitated, biting her lower lip. Let us think about the logistics. We need a venue, permits for the festival, insurance. It can't just be this open street party. A moment of silence settled, heavy with possibility and dread. Ethan could see the gears turning in Sarah's mind, the doubts creeping back as quickly as their excitement had built. How about we meet with the community center manager tomorrow? Marcus suggested. We can talk about using the space and it might help us form a partnership. Good idea, Sarah replied, jotting down notes. Before we reach out to businesses, let us have a clear vision to present. Ethan felt the urgency in Sarah's voice. They were launching into unknown territory, and every detail began to feel crucial. Who would show up? What if they failed to make it enjoyable? As the meeting wrapped up, an adrenaline buzz lingered, but so too did the weight of their ambition. I can't believe we're actually doing this, Sarah said, her voice softening now, a smile creeping onto her face. Neither can I, Ethan replied, returning her gaze with warmth. But we have to believe. We owe it to this community to try. With a shared sense of purpose, they stepped outside, the vibrant city alive with its usual pace. Their plans flowed like the wind, urgent and alive, but little did they know, shadows were lurking, waiting to challenge their dream. Let us spread the word, Ethan said, taking a deep breath. We need to make noise about this. Everyone deserves to feel this excitement. But just as he spoke, he spotted someone standing at the corner, a shadowed figure observing them intently. An unsettling chill snaked up his spine. Who were they? And what did they want? As Ethan's heart quickened, the energy around them shifted again. They had just opened a door, but was it a path to success or a step toward danger? Ethan's pulse raced as he locked eyes with the figure at the corner. It was a man, shrouded in the dim light of the street lamp, his expression unreadable. There was something about the way he stood there still, calculating, that sent a shiver down Ethan's spine. Did you see him? He whispered to Sarah and Marcus, his eyes betraying the unease that twisted in his gut. Who? Sarah asked, glancing around. When she turned back to Ethan, her brow was drawn in confusion. You're not serious, right? I'm serious, Ethan pressed, nodding toward the corner. But when Sarah looked again, the figure was gone. Just darkness. Ethan, it's late. Maybe you're imagining things, Marcus said, though he seemed to cast a glance in the same direction, just to be sure. Imagine what? Ethan shot back, frustration mixing with fear. I know what I saw. Let us just focus on our plan, Sarah said, her voice steady but clearly shaken. We can deal with shadowy figures later. We need to market this festival. Her words broke through the tension, grounding Ethan momentarily. They had something to focus on, something real. With that, the three of them walked towards the community center, laughter and light music echoing nearby as people indulged in their Friday night unwinding. Once at the center, they were greeted by a warm, inviting lobby. The walls were adorned with photos of past events, smiling families at kids' fairs, community talent shows filled with laughter, and summer nights filled with music under the stars. It was a good reminder of why they were doing this. As they introduced themselves to the manager, a sprightly woman with a welcoming smile named Linda, Ethan felt a wave of hope wash over him. They shared their vision of a community festival, and as they spoke, Linda's eyes sparkled with excitement. She asked questions, provided suggestions, and before long, Ethan felt their ideas blending into something solid and tangible. I love this. Linda exclaimed. We can make this work. I'll help you with permits and getting the word out. You'll need volunteers too. This is going to take the whole community. Ethan's heart swelled. This was real. People were on board, believing in their dream. As they finalized plans, Ethan couldn't shake the earlier encounter from his mind. The mystery of that shadow was nagging at him like an itch that couldn't be scratched. Why had he felt watched? Once their meeting concluded, they stepped back out into the cool night. The vibrancy of the city still pulsed around them, but Ethan's mind was racing, torn between the excitement of their project and the unease of having been observed. "Let us hit social media and kick off this campaign," Sarah said, her phone already in hand. "We can post pictures from tonight, give our community a sneak peek." "Great idea," Marcus replied, his enthusiasm undeterred. "Let us make it all exciting and inclusive. We're going to showcase everyone's talents." As laughter and cheers echoed through the streets, Ethan smiled at his friends. But his gaze drifted back to the spot where he'd first seen the figure. That unease settled under his skin once more. "All right," he said, squaring his shoulders, "let us make noise and draw in the community. But we also need to keep an eye out for anyone lurking." They trekked away, already planning their social posts, energy renewed, but the question loomed large in Ethan's mind: what had they unwittingly stepped into? As shadows crept closer to their ambitions, he couldn't help but wonder if the festival would bring their visions to life, or expose them to dark forces they were not prepared to confront. When would the truth reveal itself? And would they be ready for whatever came next? Ethan couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. It lurked in the corners of his mind, like that shadowy figure at the street lamp. His heart still raced, a persistent reminder that something wasn't quite right. As they walked, he fell silent, trying to push the unease aside. "Ethan?" Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts. He turned to see her looking at him, concern etched on her face. "You okay?" "Yeah, I think so." He forced a smile, but it felt fragile. "Just tired." "Don't worry about that figure. I mean, who wouldn't be freaked out by a stranger in the night?" Marcus chimed in, attempting to lighten the mood. "You could write a horror novel about it." "Ha, very funny," Ethan replied, but he appreciated Marcus's effort. He shook his head as if to dislodge the lingering tension. "Let us focus on the festival. We've got an awesome community to bring together, right? That's what matters." Their spirits lifted cautiously as they threw around ideas for social media posts. Ethan found himself smiling as they chatted about the upcoming event. The thought of the festival drew out the warmth he adored about their town, the way it unified everyone, creating lasting memories. As they reached the local diner for some comfort food, laughter spilled out from inside. The flickering neon sign above brought a wave of nostalgia. This place was a cornerstone of their community, hosting late-night hangs and sincere conversations. He could already taste the fries and milkshakes. "Let us eat first, then we can plan the details," Sarah suggested, sliding into a booth. "I could use a burger right now," Marcus added, rubbing his stomach dramatically. Ethan settled down across from them, but even amidst the familiar smell of greasy food and the laughter filling the diner, his mind wandered back to that shadow. Forcing himself to stay present, he focused on Sarah and Marcus, tuning into their playful banter. Hours passed with chatter and laughter, yet Ethan found himself distracted. Offhand comments about their hometown sparked ideas, but the unease wouldn't leave him. It settled like a stone in his stomach. "Hey, are you sure you're all right?" Sarah finally asked, cutting through his spiraling thoughts. "You've been quiet." "I think I'm just overthinking," he admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. "I just can't shake the feeling that something isn't quite right." "Challenge our ghosts later, then," Marcus suggested with a grin. "Let us make this festival the best thing this town has ever seen." Ethan looked at their hopeful faces, and that spark of ambition coursed through him again. "Absolutely. Together, we're unstoppable." As they left the diner, the chatter faded into the night. Staring into the darkness, Ethan felt a pull. There was a path ahead, illuminated softly by streetlights, leading back to where he had spotted the figure. "Wait a second," he said, stopping in his tracks. "What if we check that corner? Just to be sure." "What? Now?" Sarah's eyebrow shot up. "Come on, it's late." "I know, but Ethan hesitated. Something gnawed at him. The desire for answers burned brighter. Before anyone could protest further, he began walking again, heart pounding with determination. The cool air filled with the energy of the unknown. As they neared the spot, an unsettling quiet surrounded them, making their laughter echo eerily against the darkened buildings. "I can't believe we're doing this," Marcus muttered, glancing around anxiously. Ethan squinted into the shadows, a chill creeping down his spine. Just as they reached the corner, laughter suddenly erupted nearby, cutting through the tension. "See?" Sarah said, relieved. "Just the wind playing tricks on you." But something deeper whispered to Ethan, urging him to remain alert. I don't know. His gaze lingered, fixating on the dark alley that lay just adjacent. "Let us move on, Ethan," Marcus urged gently, his eyes scanning nervously. But Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to discover. What if someone really is hiding something in the shadows? The night felt charged, and with every heartbeat, he sensed they were standing on the edge of a mystery far deeper than they realized. What was waiting for them beneath the street lamps, obscured by darkness? Would they uncover a hidden truth, or would they find themselves entwined in something far more dangerous? Ethan stepped closer to the alley, curiosity fueling his steps despite the stillness. "Maybe we should take a quick peek," he urged, confidence bubbling beneath his apprehension. "Really?" Sarah frowned, glancing at Marcus. "You guys are insane. This is a terrible idea." "It's probably nothing," Ethan said, trying to soothe her fears. "Just old trash or something." "Yeah, like old trash and lurking weirdos," Marcus added, desperation creeping into his tone. The nervous laughter that followed did little to quell the lingering tension in Ethan's gut. Ignoring Marcus's protests, Ethan stepped towards the alley's mouth, the darkness threatening to swallow him whole. With every step, the familiar sounds of the town faded until only a heavy silence remained, almost suffocating. When he reached the entrance, a strange sensation washed over him. Did the air feel denser? He shook his head, dismissing the thought. "Look, I'll just take a peek. If I see anything suspicious, we'll bail." "Fine. But I'm waiting right here." Sarah's voice trembled, betraying her bravado. Taking a deep breath, Ethan darted into the shadows. At first, he only saw the wet pavement reflecting the dim glow of the streetlight. He squinted, peering deeper into the blackness. And then he saw it, something glinting. A small, old object lay abandoned just a few feet away. Heart racing, he edged closer. As he reached down to pick it up, the glimmer sharpened into focus. It was a locket, tarnished, but undeniably beautiful. Its design was intricate, weaving a story that felt like it belonged to someone special. "Ethan?" Sarah's voice echoed softly behind him, breaking the eerie stillness. He turned, holding the locket in his palm. "Guys, come check this out." The excitement in his voice cut through the gloom. Marcus appeared at his side, eyes wide. "What is that?" "It looks ancient. Found it here, in the alley." "It's a locket," Ethan said, brushing dirt off its surface. He felt a strange connection to it, like it held secrets waiting to be revealed. "It could be valuable," Marcus speculated. "Or at least it could belong to someone. We should take it to the police and maybe they can find its owner." "Yeah, but what if it's more than that?" Ethan's voice dropped to a whisper, a spark of adventure igniting. "What if there's a story behind it? What if it leads us to something big?" "Ethan. Remember the festival. We could be planning, not wandering around looking for trouble," Sarah urged, her anxiety surfacing again. He hated how her words dimmed his excitement. "Just give me a moment, okay? I have this feeling." With the locket in hand, he studied it closely. There was a small clasp holding it shut. As he manipulated it, he could hear faint whispers of metal. "Careful," Marcus warned, stealing glances at the shadows, still wary. Ethan felt his heart pounding in his chest, a mix of exhilaration and dread. What if there was a picture inside? What if it revealed a connection to something lost? With a decisive flick of his thumb, the locket creaked open. Inside, instead of a photo, lay a tiny folded piece of parchment. Curiosity surged. What could it possibly say? Open it, bro. Marcus encouraged, eyes glinting with excitement. Ethan's fingers trembled as he pulled it out. Tell us what it says. Sarah's whisper held a note of urgency that mirrored his own anticipation. Inhaling deeply, he unfolded the note. But just as he read the first line, a soft rustle echoed from the depths of the alley, freezing him in place. Did you hear that? Sarah gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. The creeping anxiety returned, as if the shadowy figure from earlier had shifted closer. Something or someone was indeed lurking in the dark. Ethan's breath caught. What were they truly up against? Would they find answers, or worse, a threat lurking just out of sight? He stared back at the parchment, the words now blurring as he registered the lingering danger. Guys, we might need to leave. Suddenly, the shadows seemed to breathe, hinting at secrets waiting to be unraveled. What lives had intersected with the one they were about to discover? Ethan's eyes darted from the note to the darkened alley, pulse quickening. The rustle was soft, but it stirred an urgency deep within him. He had to focus. With a quick intake of breath, he peered again at the parchment, willing himself to read its words. Ethan, what does it say? Sarah's voice trembled, her fear a palpable weight. He hesitated, mind racing. Just some kind of note, it seems. A shuffling noise broke through the stillness, louder this time. Ethan instinctively took a step back, heart pounding. We really should just read it. Marcus interjected, his voice sharp with impatience but edged with concern. Ethan could feel the warmth of the locket against his skin, an anchor in the tide of mounting tension. He scanned the parchment again, trying to block out the echoes of their surroundings. Words emerged like fragile threads woven from the past. To whoever finds this. I am lost and seeking the truth. Lost? Sarah whispered. What does that even mean? I don't know, Ethan murmured, still captivated by the note's mysterious aura. But there's more. His eyes darted down the parchment, curiosity battling with his instincts. There's something here about a treasure, a secret kept hidden for years. They talk about a key. Marcus felt the hair on his arms rise. A treasure? Like an actual treasure? This is starting to feel like a movie or something. Sarah's skepticism hung thick in the air. Or a trap. We're just three college kids stumbling into something way out of our league. The rustling grew louder now, like a whisper gathering strength, and Sarah edged closer to Marcus, gripping his arm. We can't stay here. Let us go. Ethan's pulse thundered in his ears as he stepped forward, irresistibly drawn to the thrill of discovery. Wait. We can't just abandon this. What if it leads us to something amazing? It's just an old note. We can at least find the key. Ethan. Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts, a sharp reminder of the danger looming over them. You need to think. Whatever is in that note may not be worth the risk. Risk? He echoed, uncertainty creeping in. Looking back at the shadows, he was sure he saw movement. The thrill of the chase warred against the instinct to run. Guys, listen. We have to make a choice right now. Do we find out what this is about, or do we go? What are we really searching for here? Ethan's hands clenched around the note. The uncertainty hung between them like a thick fog, smothering excitement with dread. Maybe it doesn't have to end here, Marcus said, a new adventurous spark in his voice. What if we uncover something significant? This is our chance to be part of something bigger. What if we uncover a nightmare? Sarah countered, her voice trembling. She peered into the shadows, uncertainty hanging in the air. No more games, Ethan. We need to decide. They stood in a tense tableau, the weight of their decision a weighty ledger between them. Ethan shifted, thoughts swirling. The note might be the key to unlocking more than a treasure, it could lead them to uncover buried truths, or it could put them in danger. Suddenly, a shadow flickered at the far end of the alley, darting in and out of sight. Panic surged in Sarah's eyes. I'm done. This isn't worth it, she said, backing away further. But before Ethan could respond, the shadow solidified into a figure, a tall, hooded silhouette, watching them. The air thickened with fear and curiosity, and the ground felt unsteady beneath Ethan's feet. What now? Marcus whispered, the excitement fading to fear. Ethan didn't dare breathe as he caught the figure's gaze, taking a step forward instinctively. Wait, are you looking for this? The figure moved, revealing a flash of recognition behind the hood. You have it. Where did you find it? Ethan's heart raced. They were not in this alone anymore, someone was here, wanting what they had uncovered. But why? And that question hung heavier than ever, as the night deepened around them. What had they stumbled onto? And who was this figure crossing their path? With the air crackling with tension, one thing was clear. The night was only just beginning. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest, a mix of fear and adrenaline flooding through his veins. The figure in the hood stepped closer, an air of insistence about them. You don't understand, do you? The voice was smooth yet sharp, each word laced with urgency. That note, it's not just a curiosity. It leads to something dangerous. Sarah recoiled slightly, an instinctive reaction, while Marcus clenched his fists at his side. Ethan felt trapped, the thrill pulling him in one direction while the warning loomed ominously from another. What do you know about it? Ethan managed to ask, fighting to keep his voice steady. The hooded figure scanned the alley, their movements fluid and deliberate. More than you realize. It was meant for someone else, a warning, if you will. You could put yourselves in grave danger by seeking what's written. Why does it seem like everyone knows something we don't? Sarah shot back, her voice almost a whisper but tinged with defiance. We found it. It's ours now. Careful, the figure cautioned, evident frustration breaching their calm demeanor. The truth doesn't belong to those who aren't ready for it. This isn't a game. Their eyes locked onto Ethan's, and he could feel an intensity there, as if they were attempting to peer into his very soul. Ethan felt himself wavering, captivated by the intrigue yet wary of the risks laid bare before him. We can handle whatever is going on, he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. But a creeping doubt had begun to settle in his gut. Could they really? Suddenly, the figure shifted their stance, almost protective. Listen closely. The key spoken of in that note isn't something to be taken lightly. It opens more than just doors, it can unleash chaos. What do you know about chaos? Marcus challenged, his voice low. People don't end up in alleyways exchanging notes without a reason. We have just as much right to search for answers as anyone. You think you do, the figure replied coolly, a hint of irony slicing through their words. But are you ready to face what's behind those answers? People have lost everything, lives, families. Ethan glanced sideways at Sarah, her eyes wide with fear but unrelenting. In that moment, he realized they were standing on a precipice, one side leading to mystery and the other to safety. But safety had never appealed to him like the thrill of discovery. Let me see the note, the figure demanded, extending a hand. It wasn't an option, it was a command. Ethan felt an impulse to hold on tighter to the parchment, yet something in that voice urged him to reconsider. What if we decide to leave? He countered, trembling with unease. What happens then? The figure stepped forward, the hood shifting slightly to reveal sharp cheekbones and a glint of determination. If you walk away, you may never know what you could have found. But if you stay, it won't just be you in danger. It will be everyone you care about. The weight of the truth pressed heavily on Ethan's chest. This was bigger than just a note, it was a tangled web that would pull them in deeper than they envisioned. "Just tell us what you know," Sarah urged quietly, the urgency in her voice rising. "We deserve to know." The figure hesitated, the second stretching like an eternity as the tension in the alley thickened. Finally, they stepped back slightly, eyes darting toward a flickering streetlight. "If you want to know the truth, follow me. But don't say I didn't warn you." Ethan took a breath, his heart climbing into his throat. They had been looking for answers, but now they had an even bigger question looming over them, more daunting than the thrill. Would knowing the truth ruin them or set them free? The choice lay before them, a path into the unknown. And with it came the nagging thought, would they truly be able to handle whatever lay ahead? As they stood at the brink of a decision, the hooded figure turned, moments away from leading them into darkness. Was it the beginning of a journey or the end of something sacred? And with that, the night deepened once more, wrapping around them like a cloak. Ethan stood frozen, a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions raging inside him. The hooded figure waiting in the shadows offered a glimpse of deeper truth, but that truth also felt like a looming storm cloud. Could he really step into the unknown, dragging Sarah and Marcus along with him? Are we really doing this? Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts, a mixture of fear and excitement evident in her tone. Her grip tightened on Marcus's arm, and he could see the uncertainty etched across her face. "What if it's a trap?" Marcus chimed in, glancing back at the street where the warm glow of life still pulsed. "They'll never tell us anything if we don't follow," Ethan said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. His heart raced in tandem with the stirring doubts clouding his mind. This could be our chance to uncover something significant. With a slow nod, Sarah turned to Marcus, her gaze steadying him. "Okay, but if anything seems off, we bail. No questions asked." "Deal," Marcus replied, reluctantly lining up beside her. The hooded figure turned, leading them down the alley and away from the familiar lights that represented safety. Shadows danced along the brick walls, their presence tightening everything in Ethan's chest. It felt surreal, the unfolding night pulling them further from the life they knew. As they navigated the twisting alleyways, the figure spoke. "You seek answers to your questions, but understand this, the truth can have consequences. Only those ready to embrace both its beauty and terror will find what they're looking for." "Like a treasure map?" Ethan ventured, emboldened by the thrill of anticipation. "Not just a map," the figure replied cryptically, their voice low and charged. "A journey that will transform you. Are you sure you're prepared for what lies ahead?" Ethan's heartbeat drummed louder as they arrived at a small, inconspicuous door tucked between two towering brick buildings. The figure placed a gloved hand on the old, weathered wood. "Once you step inside, there's no turning back." "What's behind this door?" Marcus asked, voice shaking slightly. "The key," the figure stated simply, opening the door to reveal darkness. Ethan took a deep breath, glancing momentarily back at Sarah and Marcus. Their shared breaths echoed his own pounding heart. In one leap, he felt everything within him rise, the trepidation, the excitement, the desperate yearning for understanding. They stepped inside, darkness enveloped them, but as their eyes adjusted, they spotted what appeared to be an antique room filled with dusty shelves adorned with artifacts. Old maps, brass keys, and shimmering objects glimmered in the faint light. "This is your treasury of truths," the figure began, gesturing across the room. "Each item has a story, a link to the past. Some may even connect to your own, each holds potential danger or opportunity." Ethan felt an electric energy course through him. The stories embedded in every object felt alive, pulling him closer. He spotted a small chest at the center, dust-covered but beckoning with an undeniable allure. "What's in there?" Sarah asked, her voice a mix of dread and wonder. "The final truth," the figure replied. "But be warned, opening it could change everything for you." Ethan swallowed hard, stepping closer. The closer he got to the chest, the more he felt the weight of their mission converge, saving the center, bridging communities, and now, uncovering this hidden past. Perhaps even unearthing the deeper connections to his own life. Let us find out. His voice broke the charged silence, and with a shaky hand, he reached for the chest's latch. It clicked open, and the air shifted as if the room breathed in unison. He hesitated, glancing back at Sarah and Marcus, hope mirrored in their wide eyes. With a swift motion, he lifted the lid and revealed an intricately folded piece of paper resting inside maps, inked words, and illustrations forming a tale of its own. This could lead us to the treasures mentioned in that note. Marcus exclaimed, excitement sparking in his eyes, the tension leaping from his body. But just as they began to decipher the treasure map, a loud noise echoed from the entrance, dragging their attention back. In an instant, the figure slipped back into the shadows, leaving them to face the entrance in uncertainty. The figure had warned them about dangers, yet they had stepped into a place where risks multiplied. A chill traveled down Ethan's spine, realizing the weight of what they had stumbled onto. The shadows shifted, and they sensed a deeper peril loom just outside the door. "We need to decide," he said urgently, adrenaline coursing through him. "Do we follow the map's clues, or do we explore what's waiting outside?" They exchanged frantic glances, the thrill of discovery competing with the urge to flee. "I say we take the map," Sarah spoke finally, her voice firmer this time. "That's our mission. We're not just running away." Ethan nodded, emboldened by her strength. "Together. Together." They echoed the word in resolve. As they absorbed the map's details, they felt hope intertwining with danger. And when they dared to look back at the doorway, there was no turning away from the shadows creeping into their lives. What awaited them outside only solidified their intent. "Let us show them our strength," Ethan resolved, clutching the treasure map tightly. "We'll bridge every world, uncover each truth. This is no longer just a festival, it's our story to claim." With renewed determination, they pushed onward, ready to face what awaited them. And so, they stepped into the night, carrying the weight of destiny in their hands, hearts set on transforming lives. This wasn't merely a quest for lost treasures, it was about connecting to the narratives that defined them, bringing forth a change that echoed long after their journey ended. Ethan felt a spark of anticipation and courage building, igniting with every step they took forward. The key wasn't just about unlocking the past, it was about shaping the future. With every heartbeat, they were ready to take the plunge into the unknown, bearing the hope and challenge ahead. Would they transform lives, or would they become entwined in a hidden darkness that would test their unity? Only time would tell the story that lay ahead, but for now, they had each other, and that was the most profound treasure of all. Are you with them on this journey? Remember, if you want to continue exploring and find out what happens next, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let it know you want more incredible stories. Comment your reactions and feelings about this chapter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation.